Haven't you ever sat down one morning and thought, today I just want to set up a caching-only name server using DNSMasq? Well, wouldn't you know, it's your lucky day. Welcome to this presentation from Pluralsight, and would you know, we're looking at setting up a caching-only name server using DNSMasq. We're going to be installing this on a CentOS 7 host. This will be a different host to we used in the previous module, even though we are sticking with CentOS 7. We're using VirtualBox virtualization. Of course, it's very easy to be able to just fire up a different virtual machine. This virtual machine will be used only for this module. We'll be looking at the basic configuration and then looking at extending it with some additional options to help tighten our security. And then, of course, we're going to finish up testing to see that it's all working. For the exam, the LPI are going to expect you to be aware of different types of DNS servers. So primarily we're working with the bind server, but they're also going to expect you to know DNSMasq, DJB DNS, and PowerDNS. But when they say be aware of, pretty much you have to recognize the names and be aware of the alternatives. As we run through this course, we'll be looking at PowerDNS because it offers options to store the DNS databases into MySQL. And we'll be looking at the DNSMasq, and of course we're looking at in this section primarily because it's a simple, lightweight DNS server. To be able to install it, of course, we go through and run it through Yum on CentOS 7. It doesn't create its own unprivileged user account, so we're going to create a user account and group for it. We're going to create our own customized DNSMasq. In this way, we can use the configuration options for the user and group that we've just created. Plus, we can minimize the configuration, so we're only looking at the settings that we need. DNSMasq itself can not only be used as a DNS server, but it can be used as a DNS server, a DHCP server, a PXE server, and a TFTP server. We'll enable and start the service. And at this stage then, our settings should be up and running and our server should be working. If we want to tighten this a little bit more, we can start adding additional options. So we could put an option domain needed, and this means then that we don't look up domains or try and resolve records where we don't include a dot. We could also similarly set this up with bogus-priv, so we can make sure that we're not setting up bogus private addresses. No host will ensure that we don't look in our local host file, we only look in DNS servers. Remember, we're not storing information, so this server has to make lookups. We're just saying don't look in your own local host file. We can set the number of clients that we can have connected. We can set the size of the cache, how many name records we will store. The default is 150, so I've just raised it here a little bit to 500. And we can set our own resolve conf. So rather than use the standard one, of course, we want to be able to resolve names from our machine. So we're going to set then a different resolve.conf for DNSMasq to use. And here we can then go through and put the name servers that we want to resolve from for the server. Our local client will then resolve to the 127 address of our DNS server. No poll just means that we will not continually look at the resolve.conf for changes. The same as before, we might want to set the firewall. So this is the same slide as we saw before when we're looking at configuring bind on CentOS 7. So let's run through now on our client machine and see how we can implement these changes.